Welcome to Live, Let, Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode
Of Live,
Let
Thrive. What's up, Myka? Man.
I am good on this rainy Friday evening, man. How you doing?
Man. Yeah, it's been a little rainy and cool these last few days. I kind of like it, you know, the heat, leave the heat a little bit further away. Don't get here yet. But I'm doing great, man. It's a great day to do a wonderful podcast about the short-term, midterm life, you know, the Airbnb, VRBO, all that stuff, all that entails, all the business that we talk about, all the real estate and all that stuff. And we're coming at you from Arlington and Fort Worth, Texas, Myka.
Let's go, man. Got a me and you app. What episode is this?
250. 250 in the house, man. Wow, that's a milestone. I'm kind of glad we got stood up today by the guests that were supposed to be on. They kind of rescheduled like right now. So, but me and Myka, we always got a lot of stuff on our minds. We got a lot of stuff we're going through, a lot of stuff with our businesses. And so we bring it to you, you know, we figure shit out or we don't, and we come to you and y'all help us. And then we help you. It's a great relationship we got with our LLT family.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir, man. So how's things going on the Argis side?
Argis side is cool. I'll tell you something. This week, we're going to talk about a lot of cool things today, but you know, we always start off just telling little stories about it, how our businesses are going. And so this week, I took off. You know, I'm easing my way out of my job, right? Easing my way out of the 9-to-5 life, you know, or for me, 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. life. Ooh, waking up at 4 sucks. Don't do it. Actually, I wake up at 5 now, so I get to sleep in a whole hour difference. But I you know, I have weekends off at the job, but I took off Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'm just seeing how it feels to just wake up and work on the business, you know, uninterrupted. And like all day, you know, just or choose a cutoff point and stuff like that. I'm learning it all because I was going to ask you a bunch of questions about that, about working from home, you know, and so that's what I've been doing. And I've been so happy. I've been able to do some real good deep work also by just sitting at home uninterrupted and just you know, doing some things that I've been needing to do for a long time with Argis and my business. And it's been really cool, man. We'll go over some of those things today, but some of the, I guess, since you took a long hiatus, right, where you would wake up and you would do and work, you know, on your business. So could you walk me through how you did it, maybe how you did it at first and how you changed it to where it worked better for you and some things that you learned along the way?
Basically routine. I will say this is one thing I will say later on that I learned is getting out the house to work is really great. Like going to a Starbucks can also make a lot of connections there during the day. But like I just basically set a routine. I wake up in the morning. I still kind of do it now, even with the 9-to-5. I wake up in the morning with my 9-to-5, I wake up at 4:30. I was waking up at 5. Wake up at 4:30. I read 10 pages out of a book that I'm reading. Do my journaling after that, hit the gym, then come back home. And I used to start the day. Now it's a little bit different, you know, 9-to-5, wake up at 4:30, do the same thing, read, gym, shoot to the 9-to-5. Monday, Tuesday, I'm in the office. Then Wednesday through Friday, I'm at home. So it's, you know, it's just finding a routine and a schedule that works. Set your tasks for the day. On Sundays, I plan out my whole week. I still do that today. Like if I know I'm going to have something, on Sunday, I'll just plan out my whole week. So if anything that I need to do, so then it keeps you on track. Maybe I know you and Fetty work together. So one of y'all both being accountability partners for each other, and then have a clear focus on your business goals, what you're trying to do with the business, and attack it, man. That's the best advice I can give you. Have the goal, what your goals are. A lot of people, they fall short on the goals, you know. And speaking of goals, man, I want everyone who listens to this podcast, I don't care if you don't watch sports, man. There's a post-fight interview and a post-game interview the one by Giannis Antetokounmpo and the post-fight interview by Israel Adesanya when he just won his last fight. And, the Bucks got eliminated, but those are two profound speeches of life that everyone should listen to, man. They dropped some really good gems about failure and taking risks and going for it all. So, yeah, go listen to those two post-game and post-fight interviews. So, yeah. But, yeah, that's it. Just building a routine.
Nice, man. I don't know if you wanted to go over a little bit what they said, or it's better to just go watch it.
Basically, Giannis talked about, he got knocked out of the first round by the 8th seed, which is Jimmy Butler, who just went absolutely crazy in the series. I think he scored 100 points in 2 games, but damn near. So just went absolutely nuts. Nothing you can do. But the reporter asked him, did he feel like the season was a failure? And he got kind of frustrated, but he calmed down and he answered in the best way. He was like, I didn't fail. He goes, it's just steps to success. He said, I didn't win today. And basically what I took from it is there's no such thing as failure to me. A lot of people did say, oh, it was a failure. He was the 1 seed. He was projected to win. But to me, I look at it as a learning lesson. And that's kind of how he explained it. You only fail when you quit. That's all it is. You can run into a bump in the road, but if you learn how to pivot and get around it, you can, go into that. And Israel Adesanya's speech was more or less, he lost to a guy, I think 4 times. He's lost to this dude 4 times, and he finally beat him, or 4 or 5 times. He finally beat him. And he just he told the crowd, hey, if you ever want to be this happy in your life of overcoming things, you got to go out there and try something. And those are 2 speeches, because I always relate business to sports. So those are just really 2 speeches that I really love. So y'all go check them out.
And what makes me think about the 1 seeds versus 8 seeds, and it's happened in 2 sports that I follow big time. It is basketball and hockey. Mm-hmm. There's always an upset, man. It's like and everybody's like, oh, an 8 seed beat a 1 seed. How could that ever happen? And what I equate that to, the 1 seed, wins most of the games throughout the year. Boom, boom, boom. They earn the 1 seed, the best team, in that side of the bracket of the league. And the 8 seed might barely skate in, or they fight for their lives the last few games to get in. They're scrappy. They do whatever it takes. So it's weird to me because it seems a lot of times the 1 seed kind of puts it on cruise control towards the end of the season, let some guys sit out, nurse some injuries because, hey, we locked up the 1st seed like a week or 2 ago, they don't have to play. We're just going to cruise in and just, try not to get nobody hurt. Whereas the 8 seed, the lower seed, that they're fighting and scrapping every single game going into the playoffs just to try to make the playoffs. And they got this killer mentality. They're hungry. And then when those 2 dynamics meet up in the finals, that 8 seed is still on that, we're hungry. No one's going to predict us to win this series. So we're going to go all out. We're going to chase every ball. We're going to shoot shots that we shouldn't shoot. We're going to do whatever it takes. Cause hey, fuck it. If we lose, we lose because everybody expects us to lose. Where the 8 seed, we're supposed to win. So we're going to go in there and play not to lose. So it's like, and a lot of times an upset happens because of that, playing not to lose versus playing to win,
I fully agree. And that's with business too. Like I remember I forgot the guest name, the guy who he builds the hotels out in Arizona. He builds hotels out in Arizona. He's a past guest, but basically he said he was the most creative with his business when he was hungry. He had the most creative finance deals, the most seller finance creative deals he could create when he was hungry. He said, now he's got money rolling in. He goes, I'm not as forceful as I was. And that's what happens in business. You gotta stay hungry and you gotta stay humble, because if you start to ease up off the gas, the 1 seed, you can ease up off the gas. A guy said it I think Giannis might have said it, or one of the reporters might have said it. He goes, the reason why the Bucks lost is because the Bucks were focused on a championship and the Heat were focused on beating the Bucks. I was like, oh, they were looking ahead. I was like, that's a really good analogy, man. Because you're the 1 seed, you're like, I'm just going to get the championship. The 8 seed, they're focused on the target. They know, we got to get past them to get there. They were kind of overlooking it. But yeah, man, it definitely plays a part. And, in business too. Because, yeah, I forgot his name. But yeah, a really good episode about building boutique hotels. So, yeah.
That reminds me too of a phrase I heard called the founder's dilemma. I don't know if you've heard of that phrase before. What it alludes to is kind of what you were saying, that a startup, young startup, scrappy, hungry, they're trying every single idea because they have to. I mean, they have to find something that works, right? So they're going to try crazy ideas that most people would never try, just to see if it sticks to the wall, see if it pans out for them. And they're just creativity going back and forth. What are we going to do? How are we going to make rent this month? How are we going to keep going? Try this, try that, try this. They're hungry. And so they come up with some innovative stuff, right? Very innovative stuff, especially in the tech field, and it didn't have to be just in that, but they come up with some innovative things. Whereas founders of a company that made it successful, had their rounds of funding and now they're a stock market, they're in the stock market and so they're like multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar companies. Now they have all this management teams and PRs and all these executives making all these decisions. So when something comes to them like a risky idea, I was like, oh no, we can't do that. That's too risky. They do the risk reward analysis and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. We're saying we shouldn't try something like that. And those end up getting passed by the next startup. We'll end up passing those because they just become stale and stagnant, and they play not to lose instead of playing to win.
Yeah. That's exactly what happens, man. Another good example of this, I'm going to kind of bring it back around to STR. The most creative time during short-term rentals was during the pandemic, when everybody got hungry. When everybody got hungry, everybody was throwing out creative ideas on how to get their places booked. They were like, even today in 2023, 3 years after the pandemic, it has surged into like this huge wave of direct bookings, midterm rentals, get off the platforms. It's just so much stuff. So when people, and I've been seeing a lot of videos of people asking, hey, in 2023, is it a good time to get into Airbnb? And me personally, I always say it's never a good time to get into Airbnb. You need to get into short-term rentals if you're going to get into that. But it's just so much has changed since the pandemic, and people are so sophisticated from that. And it's funny how that one event created so much hunger and creativity. It's affected the entire industry today. And like, it's even affected like the big players, like Airbnb himself. It's like, they're like, well, we can't really just depend upon these hosts of these, because the Airbnb stock just dropped. I don't know if we talked about that, did we? They mentioned their stock dropped like 6% because Yahoo did a study and said it was because the hosts are competing with Airbnb. Their top hosts are now going direct. But it's just funny how all this stemmed from the pandemic. Just one mistake by I don't know. I don't want to call it a mistake, but a lot of people said the guests should have been refunded. A lot of people said they shouldn't have done it. But just that one event has stemmed so much into the short-term rental space and where it is today.
Now, going back to something you said, it really frustrates me to hear that question, because people will ask, is it a good time to start an Airbnb business? Is it a good time to start a short-term rental business? Is it a good time to get in real estate? Is it a good time? That question, that's going to always be the wrong question to me, because I mean, they might as well start saying, is it a good time to create a successful business? It's always a good time to create a successful business, no matter what it is, right? I mean, in any field, you're gonna make televisions. Who the hell? What are you gonna do with televisions? I don't know. Roku came along and revolutionized that shit somehow. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, they just made it simple and they made it badass, and it works. And STR people love Roku, and just I mean, there's so many businesses to get into, but the key point is build a good business. It doesn't matter what it is. Hey, maybe someone's gonna come along and make something cool out of Airbnb, a cool niche that we never even thought of. You know what I'm saying? And so asking people that ask that question, usually, in my experience, they never start anything, because they always ask the question out of fear first. They don't ask it out of optimism. They ask me that question. I'm like, dude, if you come up with a good idea, a good reason, a good place, and learn how to advertise it, you're going to be successful. If you put some shit together that, half-ass it, you're not going to be successful. It's that simple.
And you said they're doing it out of fear. Skepticism comes from scarcity. Opportunity comes from abundance. It's mindset. That's literally what it is. If you have a skeptical mindset, no scarcity mindset, you're going to breed skepticism. If you have a abundant mindset, you're going to breed opportunity. So when you look at things from the opportunity standpoint. Like when people ask me, is it a good time? I just tell them, just like you said, it's always a good time if you know what you're doing. Like and I think we talked about this all the time. I know a few years back, we used to always talk about it. The guys who were just so big into arbitrage and telling people not to buy property. I'm against that for certain reasons. But if you look, those people who've always said, don't buy property, wait till the market crashes. Have they bought any property ever?
Never.
That's what I keep saying. So it's like, yeah, it's your mindset. It's your mindset. I mean, a person who doesn't own any property at all can't tell you not to get into real estate. It doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? But now you can hear from a tired landlord who might tell you not to get into real estate. And from his perspective, he may be correct, but he's at least done the research, right? But you want to find someone who's successful in the business, go into find a good coach, find a good mentor, and use that to go ahead and hop into the business. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that's a very, very important part, is knowing to have that coach and have a coach and an opportunistic mindset.
That's so important.
I got something else to bring up too.
Okay. Oh, me first, and then you.
Go ahead, because I know you brought up an article.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go into a spiel. So do your thing first.
No. Go ahead. Go into your spiel.
Okay. So, asking the right questions, and here's why I say that. So my mom, she's got a lot of health issues. Assisted living places nearby and stuff like that. And it's always, if you think the government's going to take care of you when you're old, you're in for it's a lie. So yeah, a lot of places don't accept the government stuff. They don't accept Medicare. The good places, the shitty places, they have to, whatever. But anyways, going through that the last few years has been pretty rough. And so what I came to realize, man, there are some really nice places out there. But let's just say it looks like an apartment complex, but it was like a luxury apartment complex or a high-end apartment complex for like assisted living. They'll have nurses on site, that control the distribution of their pills and drugs and whatever, physical therapists. A nice place, takes care of old people. But the cheapest unit, and this is right now, we're talking in 2023, right? So when you hear this episode in the future, you're like, oh, damn, that was cheap. But the cheapest unit right now is like $4,200 for like a something the size of this little room that I'm in right now. It's an efficiency, right? You get a bed, you get a little fridge, whatever. It's a nice place, but that's all you get, and for over 4,000. So if you go find a 1-bedroom in most places around here, maybe you'd be spending around $1,200, $1,500. If you go higher end, maybe $1,800, maybe tickle in $2,000 if it's really nice, but old folks, if they want to rent something that's a place with assisted living type place, minimum $4,000 a month. So that automatically made me think, hey, I'm in the wrong freaking business. But anyways, aside from that, I was like, man, there has to be. I'm surprised. How could the free market not have come up with a solution? You either have to be rich where you can afford to pay, all the stuff you got to pay for in your life and take care of your family, plus pay for your parents $4,000 a month rent, which is double what your mortgage is, or maybe triple, depending. You got to be really, really well off to accomplish that. Or if you're, how come nothing has come? A solution hasn't come along from the free market. Like, hey, how can we help middle income people, support their parents that need a lot of care comfortably? And there's not a solution yet. You're saying, well, the government's going to take care of that. No, the government, it's a lie. They're not going to take care of shit. But anyways, pulling it all back around, I had a stupid question in my head. And there's no stupid questions, right? But I had a question in my head. I said, does this sound dumb? And I started Googling, of course, where if you ever have a question, you go Google. And so I started Googling. I told you this was going to be a spill, Myka. So I started Googling anything like financing an assisted living place. You know what I'm saying? I was like, if I'm going to spend $4,000 a month for a place for my mom, I can't even get no equity out of that. There's got to be a place, let's just say a 12 unit, 15 unit, 100 unit place where I can purchase one of those, you know what I'm saying, on financing. And then, in the future, it passes on to the next place. We still have it in the family, you know what I'm saying? And there's equity there. And it's something that we have, not just, okay, all that money's gone. So I started with that question, started Googling, and it led me to a place called Buy Biz Sell. You've been on Buy Biz Sell, where you can buy businesses and you can sell your business and all that stuff. Maybe I said it wrong, but anyways, that doesn't matter. And there was some assisted living places for sale, of course, big ones for sale for like a few million, all the way. And then I started seeing residential assisted living places for sale for around, anywhere from $400,000 to $600,000. Now, I actually, took the step and reached out to this person, and I was like, hey, I'm interested in this place over here in Tarrant County. It didn't give you the address and none, but and it's for sale for 600 something thousand. Please give me some information or call me or whatever. Anyways, if reached out to me, we had a conversation today, and this guy, I'm getting him on the cast because it is real estate. It is real estate related, and he just blew my mind with it's a whole market. It's a niche market. There's a lot of money to be made there, but it's not all about money too. It's about helping people that in need as well. So these assisted living places, he's a broker and he helps people buy and sell, and then there's residential ones, which is like a house that could be in a neighborhood. That usually, and he said it like this: they'd be like $300,000 or $400,000 house, but after they equip them, they have to put all the safety stuff and they put all the sprinkler system. The sprinkler systems are expensive as all get out. I just found that out, about $19 a square foot to install a sprinkler system in a house. It's crazy. Anyways, the government says you got to do it. Assisted living, you got to have a sprinkler system, and so that makes the value a lot more, but there's ones that come with the staff already in place and it runs like a business, and there's ones that you buy it and you do it. You have to build a team to take care of old people, or people in need. And so I had a long conversation with him. We're going to get him on the podcast, but I'm like, man, this is kind of what I'm looking for. The thing that I was looking for don't exist, where you can just get one unit, like buying a condo, like assisted living condo or whatever the hell. But you can buy a house somewhere that's already equipped to do that, and that's already kind of running like a business.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of money in assisted living. I actually have friends in assisted living. Which I could help get them on the cash too. Assisted living is really big right now. And assisted living always has its market, but another kind of branch off of that's like really big right now. Everyone's getting all the fake butts and all that right now. Like a big, huge market. And I know people making like 40 to 80,000 a month off 2-bedroom condos doing this, is being the caretaker for those people. So those make high dollars because that money is paid directly from from their insurance or from the doctor or whatever, because they have to go to a recovery center. And if they have a nurse on, usually a lot of nurses get into it, but I'd be interested in investing in the nurse that does it. But yeah, that's big money right now. Big money. Yeah. So yeah, assisted living is also as well big money. The only thing about assisted living that I will tell you, if you do get into it, you kind of have to have a passion for looking out for the elderly, because it's not like how we do. Even doing vacation rentals, we're more or less accommodating, but you have to really have a passion for that. I would tell people if they want to go into that, like that has to be kind of a passion. It's kind of like what the guy who does the housing for the homeless. You kind of have a passion for social outreach, and kind of with assisted living if you want to go that route. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
go ahead.
He mentioned that the name's Chris Williams. He'll come on the show, but he mentioned that too. He's like the one, I had inquired about. He's brokering several places, but one I inquired about is over here in Tarrant County, and he said, that particular one, it's a older couple that owns it. They've owned it for a long time, but they're gonna kind of ease their way out. He said they don't have to sell it. They don't even go there, but they don't even spend like an hour or a couple hours a month on the business, just doing the books and stuff. They don't go there. They have a great manager that manages it and all that stuff, employees in place. But they're just, they're ready to sell it. And he said that they're picky about who's going to buy it because of that. Yeah. They're not going to just sell it to some, foreign investor or someone who's not going to be, really care about it, just wants to make money. He said that are in love with money. He goes, they want to sell it to someone that's in love with people over money. And so they've already told several investors, no, you're not a right fit for this place.
Yeah. And that's, and I'll tell people too, when you are getting into certain businesses, you do have to have like a deep passion for it. I'm starting to learn, like in my business, Mahogany's the people person. That's why I tell people that book, Surrounded by Idiots, is a really good book to read. Mahogany's a people person, and I'm a very technical person. So like, I love real estate, fixing it up. Anyone who follows me on Instagram might have seen the rehab we just completed. I love fixing it up, like the technical side of that, and Mahogany's the people person. And that helps you kind of make business decisions. So like, if we were to go into assisted living, it'd be perfect, right? Because I'll kind of go with Mahogany's background. She used to actually go when she was younger. She used to go and actually help in the older folks' home, the assisted living facility. That's her background. But yeah, there's certain things you just kind of have a deeper passion for. And I got that feeling from the guy who used to house the homeless, still does it. He said he had a deep passion for it. So yeah, you certain things, just because you're dealing with elderly, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, that episode was great, man. The housing the homeless, because he wanted to help people.
Yeah,
and he said there's money out there that exists to help you accomplish that.
Yeah, for sure.
And the fact is, he even arbitrages the homes, right?
Yeah,
that is nuts. So he can get one up and running for pretty cheap, and then start housing people and helping them. And the free market always finds a way to accomplish things that the government can't.
See, and you talked about your mom, and this is one thing I tell people about goals and having a why, right? So, this is what I will tell people, like, especially if you're young and you listen to this, you got to have a deeper why for when you are into like entrepreneurship, trying to build extra income. Having a deep why will get you further, right? So having to take care of your parents, because our parents are going to get older. And if you want to have that where, hey, I can just take care of my parents, I got it like that, I put in the work, that's somewhere I would want to be, because you got to eventually, and that's why if the younger you start, the easier it is. Just start young, man. If you could start, and that's why I love our meetups, man. We've met people in their 20s already own 4 or 5 homes. I'm like, hell yeah, man. And 10 years from now, man, sky's the limit, so start young, because there's going to be times your parents are going to get older, and you got to be able to take care of them. And then hopefully you've taught your kids, so when you get older, your kids can take care of you, so, but just having that a why is a huge, huge reason, my mentor always told me his why was being able to take care of his family outside of just his kids. He'd be able to take care of his mom, his dad, so that's very important.
Yeah. Changing the subject right quick. So me and Fede were asked to be on the Turno podcast, formerly Turnover BNB. Yeah. So it was pretty cool, man. It was, I was hesitant because I'm like, oh, a corporate podcast, how's that going to go? But it was actually it was quite entertaining. And the guy, what's cool about it, how what they enjoy most, the people that interviewed us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were like, they enjoyed how unexpectedly how their app, of course it helps us, it helps. You got me on the Turnover B&B a long time ago. And so of course it organized all the cleanings and turnovers and connected to the calendars and all this. It was really, I couldn't have done it without it, and we still use it. But a byproduct from it is it turned a lot of these cleaners into entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And he told us stories about they became, they started cleaning, they started picking up houses, then they started getting employees, they started their own cleaning company, and then they started getting their own Airbnbs and short-term rentals, man. And he said that's what made him the proudest about this app, because they're serving, we always talk about how Airbnb is serving two masters. They're serving us, and they have to serve the customers, and that's where the friction comes from, right? Who's right? Who's wrong? But in Turnover B's sense, they're serving us because we're using the tool to accomplish what we need to do, but they're serving the cleaners too, and the cleaners love it, So we had a great conversation about that and about business, about building your business up, about how you sometimes you got to break it down and make it a new whenever it like doubles. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole new animal, right? And so we started. Yeah, we had some good conversations with the Turno folks. I could check that one out. But no, it was interesting when people start asking you about your business. You really start looking at it differently. And one of the things was, how were you able to structure your business where you can grow and this and that and scale? I was like, well, we didn't, man. It just, we started growing and we're like, oh crap, now what do? We got 2 more units we got to do. We in a different part of town. We got to get a new cleaner. We got a new team. It's just like you can't plan everything out, right? You can't plan everything out in business. You gotta just, to me, I'm more, I guess, adventurous than Federico. That's why we make a good partnership. He's more, what's it called? Logical and has to have everything organized and stuff, but structured. But I'll take us out to the deep end, and he'll build a badass boat to help us, travel the waters. So it works out. I realized that when we were both being interviewed, we kind of made a good team. We get in arguments a lot, but whatever. We friction makes the motion happen, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's how you learn in business. I mean, you can't plan for everything, but resiliency comes in those that can not plan, but can be ready for the pivot, right? It's kind of like what I just said about the pandemic. No one expected that, but the people who survived it, they're the ones who still going today because they went through the pivot. They know how to pivot their business. And that's huge. Knowing how to pivot your business is huge. One thing I was going to touch on, you posted an article, I think, in the group earlier, a couple of days ago, about the Bigger Pockets article or podcast. It says the BRRRR strategy is dead. Is that what it said? Is that what it said?
Well, it says that, but then it has like a sticker that's like the easy BRRRR strategy, Okay. So I guess it was when rates were like 2% and 3%, it was easy to do BRRRRs. Now, yeah, it's a little trickier now.
Yeah, that I agree. And that kind of goes back into what I was saying about having a coach, because in times like this, it's another pivot, right? Because interest rates are sky high. Can't go around that. My pivot is I'm not buying in Texas because interest rates and taxes in Texas just ain't your friend right now. Mm-hmm. So being able to pivot to a different market or pivot your buying strategy, that all goes into it. Because right now, I think like a couple of finance articles said they are expecting a recession in the next few months. We got to see how that's going to pan out. And just kind of seeing where that goes. But yeah, I don't think the BRRRR strategy is dead, but I do think the easy BRRRR, those days are gone. I don't know if interest rates are going to go down. So that'll be an interesting thing to see.
Dude, that's what, so at our meetup, I told you that this young lady came up to me and asked about Argis Rentals, if they could manage a place for her and all this stuff out in Richardson, right? And I was like, well, yeah, we could do that. We got people in Dallas. We got, people out that way. And so we scheduled to go see the house and all that stuff. Real nice house, right? North Dallas area. So.
Yeah, go ahead.
So anyways, so we scheduled to go see the house and everything. And we said, yeah, we can go ahead and we could manage this for you. And we started talking, and she said, what happened? I started doing the BRRRR. I started trying to do the BRRRR, read the books, did the course, all the stuff. And so I went out and got the hard money loan. I got the house. I did all the rehab and everything. The hard money was out 12% or whatever. Or it might've been 11, but anyways, she goes, but when I started the rehab, interest rates were, 3 or 4%. by the time I finally got finished with the house, now I'm going to finance. Now I got to try to finance out of this hard money. And it's going to be, I said, I'm going to be looking at 7 or 8% interest rate, you know? And so she's like, she goes, my mortgage payment is like $4,000 a month, and around 4,000. It goes, it's not even going to drop that much once I finance out, but I got to get out of the hard money. And I was like, damn. I was like, and I think David Green, he described it. You know, he alluded to it. I haven't watched that episode yet, or listened, whatever. But he alluded to it on a following episode where Pace Morby was on, which I love that episode. That inspired me to do something. I'll tell you in a minute. But he alluded to the episode about talking about BRRRR. You know, he said he was playing musical chairs, and then the music stopped, and there was no more chairs left. and he goes, but it was great when interest rates were low. He was humming along, you know, but you know, the rates just kept creeping up until the music stopped. And so I'm sure that's happening to a lot of people right now.
See, and that kind of goes back, you got to know your market, right? So if you're in Texas, interest rates ain't the only thing you got to worry about. It's them damn taxes that'll kick your ass. Texas's taxes, like I told you, I was talking to a seller in Starbucks. House is paid off. With his house being paid off, he has to pay insurance and he has to pay taxes. His taxes on the house in Cedar Hill are $10,000 a year. $10K a year. That's not on top of insurance, right? So if you had insurance and taxes on top of that a year, with it being paid off, you're paying $1,000 a month. Think about that. Like you're paying $1,000. That's like in another state. That's like that's a mortgage, right?
You made me think of something. I figured something out. Look at that. Texas and taxes. Like basically almost the same word, but just to move the 2 letters, right?
There you go. So I'm like, when you think about it, when you're buying, that's why a coach is very important, man, because you got to know this stuff. If you don't account for, Texas is the only place I've ever lived. If you do not account for taxes, it's so much, you can screw yourself out of a deal like that. Like that, if you don't account for taxes. And that's the problem right now. So like with her saying, let's say if that house was in another place with lower taxes, it probably could still cash flow. Can it cash flow as a long-term rental?
No. She said where she's at, $2,500 a month. Maybe she would be underwater.
Sell it. There's no point in holding on to that. Sell it.
Yeah, she's seeing what the refi people are gonna say right now. So she's seeing what kind of deals she can get. Yeah. But yeah, man, I told her, well, if you're interested in selling, we might be interested in buying. I think it would do good as a short-term rental myself. But yeah, that
it can do good as a short-term rental. Richardson cracked down on laws. You're sitting there holding on to what? See, that goes back into being educated. Being educated on real estate. I tell people, man, I do not if it don't make long-term rental money, it ain't no good short-term rental unless you're in a vacation rental market. Yeah, dude. But yeah, I'd get off from under that as fast as possible, especially a few months here. If stuff starts getting uglier and uglier, hell, the dollar's dropping, China switching over to people, Brazil switching over to the yen. I mean, shit keeps getting uglier and uglier. It's just not, you got to make smart investments right now. Right now, it's just a really good time to be very smart with your investments.
Now I alluded to Pace Morby, right? And I've seen some of his stuff before, and I probably heard the old episode of his, but this one really hit home because this past episode, because he was on BiggerPockets, and I looked at it because creative financing. I'm like, there's a couple deals that are in my wheelhouse that I'm kind of like, should I do it? Should I not? Should I do it? And one of them is owner financing deal, right, at a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. And the guy that's offering it to me is like it's the son of a dude from work where I bought the townhouse from. So anyways, his son's like, oh, you bought my dad's townhouse. I'll sell you mine for whatever this price is, and I could blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't know. I'm not really looking for more, condos or townhouses right now. And then finally he came back. He's like, I kind of want to let it go, and you already looked at it and everything, and I don't want to go through the whole market and everything like that. So I'll go ahead and I can do an owner finance deal. How's that? Because I know interest rates are high right now. It's like, owner finance. Okay. And so he showed me the terms and all this stuff. And I was like, I've never done one of these before. And so, and I was still hesitant, right? Until I heard that episode and about Pace Morby and doing owner finance and subject to and all kinds of ways he buys houses with practically $0, right? Yeah. And the way he broke it down was like so simple, man. And so, you know, he mentioned like how he did his F-150. He does go online, look up Pace Morby F-150 story. He couldn't sell his truck because he wanted more than people were going to pay him and blah, 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 blah. But he was able to get his own price by doing an owner finance deal on his truck. He said, okay, I'm going to sell this truck for $10,000, which is what I want, and I'll accept payment. As soon as he did that, everybody on Craigslist hit him up. I'll take it. And so he sold it for the price he wanted, but with payments. You know what I'm saying? He goes, that's exactly what you're doing when you're trying to buy a house from somebody that wants $100,000 for a house that won't get 70,000. You know, you can give them the 100,000, but you can go ahead and put payments, but tell them, I'll give you your full price, but we're going to do a payment situation. We're going to do terms. Terms. That's the key word. So I was like, damn, that's so cool. And so, that moment, man, I was like, all right, dude. After that episode, I literally texted the guys, all right, man, let's figure this out, you know? And we went back and forth and I came up with some terms that we liked. And he said, okay, that sounds good. And then he said, my lawyer, I'll get my lawyer to draft everything up and then we'll go to the title company and do this. I was like, cool. So I'm doing my first, I know I'm probably not doing everything perfect, but I'm doing my first one. First deal.
Make sure you get your people too.
Yeah.
And because, get your lawyer or whoever you need to get on it too. Because me personally, if I was doing my first one, I would just go hop into Pace's program, pay to get in his program and just find out. He probably has paperwork in there. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm probably going to be hopping in Pace's program here shortly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wonder how much that costs.
It's worth it.
Is it?
Yeah, it would probably be worth it. Because you're buying into a community. That's what you're buying into, because he has a lot of people. I'm starting to notice the more you invest in your education, the more you're buying into circles of people. And then once you're in that circle of people, a wide variety of things start to happen. Like on the 11th, we're about to close on a deal just from being in the right circle of people. So yeah, I would definitely, make sure all your ducks in a row, because with owner finance, you need to make sure, everything's lined up so it works out. Because I know there's like, he doesn't have a mortgage. It's paid off, right?
Paid off.
Oh yeah, it might be a little bit easier for you, but just make sure like, hey, who's paying the taxes on this thing? We don't want to end up in any tax lien situations, but yeah, man, congratulations. Let's get it.
Yeah, man.
I'll go ahead.
And that inspired me to actually a friend at work. She's been going back and forth on selling her house. She has this house in the country, right? She's too far from work. So she wants to move closer. She wants to sell it, but she bought it at the height of the market. And now she said if she sold it, she'd probably be upside down trying to sell it kind of thing. And so I was looking at it and I was like, that just listen to that one podcast that gave me the courage to say, hey, you know what? You ever heard of subject to? And this is how it works. A quick thing on subject to, it's usually people that owe a lot of money on their house still, which is what Adam Johnson, he came on the show a few times, he taught us. But they can't sell it and get, they'll lose money if they sell it, but they don't want to stay in it. So they're stuck in this weird situation, where they want to get out. And so what someone like a subject to buyer goes in there and says, you know what, I'll take over the payments. I'll take over the deed, switch the deed to my name. I'll even give you some money if we agree upon a price, and you'll be out of this. You'll be out of this situation. You can go and get you a nice place somewhere else, but you're still on the mortgage. That's the only thing with the subject to. They stay on the mortgage. We take over the mortgage. We pay it, and that's the thing. Adam Johnson told me. I was talking to him about it. I was like, "How do I approach this?" He goes, "Well, first of all, you're going to have all their login and password to go and pay their mortgage to make sure it's getting paid. You don't never trust a seller." to make those mortgage payments for you. Don't give them the money and trust them to do it. So that's pretty much it. You just get the logins. I mean, of course you do all you close like you're closing on a house and all that stuff, and there's closing costs, but So you pretty much buy a house with little to no money. You get it. You're taking over a mortgage, and she's locked in at a low interest rate because if you buy a house, you buy that same house now, your mortgage is going to be double the price, right, or triple.
Yeah.
And so so it's a great way to pick up houses again without using the freaking banks. He goes, nobody, have to do his accent. Nobody checks my credit, man. Nobody checks my, my background, nothing, I put everything in my company's LLC, boom, boom, boom. No banks, no nothing, no approvals. And then I get me a house and then they're on their way. It's
man.
Those two things are so powerful. I cannot wait to do a subject 2.
Man, I can't either. We kind of are working on one. Let me kind of tell you the situation. So this dude was going through a divorce, right? The house was shitty at first. We called him. We first called him. House was shitty. My dad went and looked at it. He goes, yeah, it needs some work. I'm like, good, let's go get it. So he kind of ghosted us for a while. Mahogany kept in contact with him. We just talked to him today. He ended up fixing up the damn house. I'm like, fuck. He fixed up the house and he was like, man, I had to go ahead and fix it up, man. He goes, I'm going to lose everything in the divorce. I'm like, damn, man. He's like, I'm going to have to lose everything. So he goes, I'm going to sell it for $150. So we were like, okay, cool. So me and Mahogany talked and we're like, let's try to hit him with a sub-2 offer. Just to see if we could take over the payments. I don't know if it'll work in a divorce situation, but let's just try. Or we may even be able to do an owner finance situation, depending on how much he owes. Let's just see. So we're working on that one. And yeah, Adam Johnson is absolutely right. Make sure they're paying their mortgage. Because one thing my real estate coach always tells me, all sellers are full of shit. So you got to be careful. He always says, he goes, I dealt with every last one of them. They're full of shit. But I hope none of our sellers are listening. But no, man, people do, people skim the system, like in California. My cousin was in a house in California and he was renting a house and he was paying his rent on time every month. And next thing you know, he had to get the hell out of the house because guess what? They weren't paying the mortgage and he's paying the rent. So they were getting, the house was getting foreclosed on. So yeah, man, you do got to check people, man. Some people, they don't give a damn, dude.
That happened a lot in 2008, remember? That the landlords were losing their houses, but they kept accepting those rent payments all the way to the end. So they got to knock on the door. You got to leave. What? We paid up on the rent. What are you talking about? You got to get out,
bro. That's horrible.
That was bad, dude. That was bad. They went. He gave the keys back to the bank, but kept taking the payments. Man, that's fucked up.
Oh man. So did you? Oh, speaking of that, 2008. You text me, man. So you read up on the Biden rule, huh?
Yeah, that's some lunacy right there, man. I don't know what the hell they're trying to do with that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So yeah, the people who are basically Biden is allowing for the people who have good credit to basically pay for the people who have bad credit. So if you have good credit, see, this is the only thing I didn't understand about it. I don't know if it's going to be for new mortgages or for current mortgages. So basically, if you have good credit, you may have to pay a little bit more on your mortgage to subsidize for those people with bad credit.
Only if you're buying. Yeah.
Yeah. So only if you're buying. So if you're buying on top of high ass interest rates, you're also going to be paying a little bit higher on your monthly payment. So a lot of people are saying just go tank your credit score. So I don't know.
No, it's not that easy.
Okay,
it's not,
go ahead.
And there's a bigger pockets article on that, how it's not exactly the case. Go tank your credit score, whatever. Because you're not going to get a good interest rate if you have shitty credit. You might be able to get the house, but you're not getting a good interest rate. So your mortgage would be higher anyways. But the ones that did have good credit, they were going to get a lower payment anyways, but it's going to be just a little bit higher. So they're still going to have a lower payment, but it's going to be a little higher because to help put the people in homes that shouldn't be in homes. No, that doesn't sound right. No. Whatever. Bad credit, yeah, or whatever. Anyways, but two things I did see that it doesn't affect FHA loans and it doesn't affect VA loans. So but conventional loans, Fannie, Freddie, all that stuff, it does affect. But it doesn't. We know what else it don't affect is creative financing.
Yes,
so two deals that you ain't touching a bank and owner financing where you ain't touching a bank. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, sir. For real, man. Gotta love it. So yeah, man, it's a lot of good stuff coming. You know, we do have to get a little bit more creative nowadays with the creative finance and the subject to. One thing Pace said on that podcast that really made me break down subject to and how it made it so easy and why I decided I'm going to join his program. He said, in subject to, I'm buying your interest rate. Your house just happens to come with it. I was like, damn, that's where it is. I'm buying your interest rate. Your house just happens to come with it. That was like the dopest line in that. I was like, yeah, because that's what you want their interest rate. So yeah, man, especially right now, if you can sub to something, man, you're winning. Sub to owner finance, you're winning.
You know, it's funny on that, changing gears a little bit. So I was talking with Federico, and we were going through some more virtual assistant kind of first hiring, firing kind of deal. You know, just trying to structure the company to get it to work optimally. I mean, it works good, but we want to go to the next level and have the best people in place and stuff like that. So we've been going through some virtual assistant shakeups and stuff like that. And you know, we were talking, me and Fede were talking about it, and I was like, you know what's funny? You know, the gurus out there, the ones that have their face online and stuff like that have millions of followers and all this stuff. He goes, I said, don't get discouraged that you're not doing it like them, or our business ain't perfect like they're, whatever. I was like, remember, they're the ones that are calling us and reaching out to us to run their to run their short-term rental company for them, so they can just stay on Instagram and on Facebook and on whatever, So remember that they're calling us in the background saying, "Hey, Argis, can you run this? Can you possibly run my company for me so I can just go and make Instagram videos
and selling courses to pay rent?" But
there you go.
Not going to go there, but no. But honestly, man, yeah, don't ever. Comparison's the thief of all joy. We both always say that, so you ain't got to worry about nothing like that. But this is one question because you brought up virtual assistants. And I've started to notice with our virtual assistant, she's been doing our Instagram's been growing like crazy. Everything's been working, but it happened after we got into midterm rentals. It's because now she doesn't have to worry about the guest communications, all that. With y'all business, and this is one thing, this is like going to be a really good conversation for people listening. Is your business more Airbnb focused, would you say?
It's a big part of it, yeah.
A big part of it? Okay.
Part of it.
Have you considered looking at all your properties and going midterm?
Like just turn them all into 30-day plus?
Not turn them into it. Just being like, that's your main business, and then use Airbnb as a filler.
Now, here's the funny part on that.
Okay.
That's right. Because like I said, it fluctuates anywhere between 50 to 70 properties. If we're picking up or losing some, whatever, we're kind of still in that zone, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of them social. A lot of them are short-term rentals, mm-hmm. and so our short-term rental side is where we have most of the employees, right? Okay. We have 3 different shifts, and some shifts has 2 employees on each shift. So we'll be anywhere from 6, 7, up to 8, or hiring, firing anywhere from between 6 and 8 employees on that side, running the short-term rental side. And then Fede, he's in charge of the ops, the short-term rental side. I'm in charge of the corporate side. We made like a split a few months ago. Kind of a, it's business, right? We kind of had a coming to Jesus, back and forth argument. And then I just said, you know what? Okay, you got the ops, I'll just stick with the corporate side, whatever. And that's fine. Mm-hmm. And so, but it's been good for both of us, really. But the thing is, what I always notice, and my thing is, man, I try like hell to fill all of our places with long-term rentals. And we've even accommodated long-term rentals where we have some short-term bookings that are coming up in the future. And we have a great VA who's able to move people around. You know what I'm saying? Move people around.
Water leak.
Oh, shit.
I got that friend of the show. I'll have her.
Yeah, water leaks every month. Is water leak. So I am trying like hell to fill up all of our places midterm, right? And trying different strategies, this and that. one thing, and it goes all the way back around, that I'm doing, that I had these 3 days consecutive off. What's
Stack
that?
of midterm rental checks. Go ahead. Let me go into it.
I love those. I love those. One thing I did, I finally had time to do, right? Because I've been doing working at work and then kind of working the business while I'm at work, working and a couple hours afterwards and trying to balance it all, but never get to sit down and do some really, really deep work, And so one thing I started an email marketing campaign. And so, I know you've been doing it for a while, but you inspired me to do it. And so I got the MailChimp up and running. Like, I mean, we've been operating for going on 3 years now. We don't have our MailChimp. I'm like, man, this is fun. This is devastating. And so I'm going to market to 3 different groups, right? The first group, this is my first and foremost group that we're gonna market to is the corporate housing providers, right? And so I have a huge list of corporate housing providers we've been accumulating, working through our marketplace. And so we have a list, and my VAs have compiled this list for me. So I went into MailChimp, made a beautiful email, right? And put one of our properties on there. Hey, a current property, something eye-catching, right? This is our current property that's available on May 1st, and it has this and this and this, a little synopsis. And underneath it, I wrote, we have properties everywhere throughout the country, so hit me up, blah blah blah. And so I made my list of all the corporate housing providers, the ones that reach out to me a lot, and then I sent it out to them. That's the first email, right? And so what I'm gonna have my VA do, I'm gonna have every, and I could ask you, because you're the social, more about that than I do. Should I hit them every single day with these emails, or should I?
No. Don't hit them every day. I do once a month. But what we do is we send them on the first of the month, all our availability. Hey, this is our availability coming up. So what you want to do is, on the 1st of May, on Monday, my VA is going to be emailing them all of our properties that are available mid-May and the 1st of June. So then let's say we get someone mid-May, we shut down the rest of the calendar from mid-May on, and then everything else, we just fill it with Airbnb reservations. Then if they come in the 1st of June, we know it's going to be a short-term rental month. It's going to be, people booking direct, people booking on Airbnb, VRBO. So we just secured one client until I think August. So that's basically what we're doing. One thing, I'm happy you brought this up because I'm writing this out to my VA now to do this. That's why I freaking love Slack. I'm having her do this because you just made me think of something. I'm going to start, because one thing she has been doing, she's been doing it manually. I'm like, okay, let's just make this a process, automation all the way across the board. I'm just going to have her set up an email campaign to go out automatically on the 1st. And what you do is, not only I do once a month, some people do it differently, but also email them. If you can find out the person, like if you find out the coordinator's birthday, send them a happy birthday. If you find out their, and then for all holidays, of course, like Cinco de Mayo is coming up. You need to have something going out to them on Cinco de Mayo. Hey, happy Cinco de Mayo. Staying top of mind. I think we talked about it last episode. Staying top of mind. That's very huge right now. So yeah, man, I love seeing. I'm happy you started breaking it down into past guests. That's your vacation rental side. So and then you can get really strategic with it. Like if hey, from May 15th on, we have a midterm rental. On the 1st of May, what you can do now or right now, you can go ahead and start marketing to the past guests. Say, hey, we have availability up until the 15th of May. So then you can possibly get them filled. So then you're not always dependent upon the platform. You know what I mean? So then you can have that constant marketing going on.
Yeah, that's how I was going to separate it, man. I was even further, man. I don't. We give ideas out there. Who cares? This is the show. This is what we do. So yeah, the past guest thing, you told me about that, and then that's going to be a hit. All the past guests, man. We accumulated that through the guidebooks. We got all the information for the past guests through the guidebooks. So what? You got another idea?
No, I was telling you. Then you got to go take it a step further. You got to start separating out your guests. Like, hey, was this an insurance client? Was this a leisure traveler? Because what you want to do is start sending them different marketing campaigns. Because if it's a leisure traveler, you don't want to send them stuff about long-term rental reservations coming through. Or if it's a corporate guy, you don't want to say, hey, we got this weekend available. You want it to be very strategic. Okay, hey man, are you and your company coming back to town? We got 2 to 3 months available. So you got to start really honing in on your guests. And then you got to choose certain strategies of what type of guests you want to market to them. Go ahead.
That's what that's what I like it, man. You can play around with this and and customize. It's nice. So the past guests, that's the other group, that I'm compiling to send blasts to. And okay, well, let's go back to that. And the third one is all the travel nurses out there. I'm compiling a whole list of travel nurses. And this is my thing is I know it's more, well, with Chat GPT, it's easy now, right? I want to do a little travel nurse blog each month to send it out to all the travel nurses, just free information,
Mhm.
Oh, by the way,
Love it.
by the way, Dallas is hiring nurses for, $50 an hour, or, just sending a little blast like that with some information. And then, travel nurse weekly, whatever, travel nurse monthly, just to give them some free information, stay top of mind. And if you need a place with Argus Rentals, then being part of this email chain, you get 10% off any of our places, something like that.
What you do with travel nurses too is you can just I'd built the list off of a Furnish Finder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what a lot of people do is they're like, oh, this nurse is cheap. I don't really care about the nurse being cheap. I just want them in my marketing database because they know other nurses. So I can cater to market to them and market to their network is what you want. Everyone has a network. So like, let's say, hey, this person's too cheap or they come in as an unmatched lead. I still put them in my database and then I put them as a nurse. You got to start tagging people who they are. And this is one thing I'm going to have her do as well. Start tagging who's the nurse, who's the corporate traveler, who's the leisure traveler. And then we can start really building that list and be very catered and dedicated to how we market.
You're going to know them like our phones know us, right? So they know exactly what ads to feed us at the right times and stuff. They know us more than we know us. It's crazy.
Exactly. And we got to get real dedicated on how we do this so we can start really marketing and creating a true business, man. Because the OTAs are for the birds. Shout out. I'm happy Airbnb lost 6%. Let's go. No, I'm joking.
Hey, you got stock in them. Come on, man.
I sold it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I got off all my Airbnb stock. Shout out to Sean. He told me not to buy that crap a long time ago. So yeah, I got out of that. But yeah, man, it's got to get sophisticated. Very sophisticated right now.
So I'm excited. I'm really excited about that aspect of it because I've been wanting to do an email campaign for a long time. And when I finally got into the MailChimp, and I'm sure there's others out there, but the one, is the most popular one, I guess, is MailChimp. And it's just like, holy crap. This is like, it's if you've ever done like a GoDaddy website or something, it walks you through how to build the perfect email. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, this is like building a website. This freaking email is like building a website, but they make it easy. You just click a few things and you can resize things and drop a picture in there and make it. It makes this beautiful freaking email, right? And it's not just someone typing a bunch of words and then sending it out to everybody because who's going to read that? But it makes it where it catches their eyes. I'm learning things about emails I didn't even know. I've seen them, I've witnessed them, I've been fed these ads all my life. But there's like you got your subject, right? You got your subject line, which, they kind of help you. Okay, this is how you write a good subject line. And then there's like a
preview line.
I didn't even know. They've been doing it to me all my life, but I didn't even know there was a name for this thing where you kind of, when you see it in your inbox, you see the subject, but then you see a few words, you're like, wait a minute, what else does that say? I want to click that just to see what else that preview line says, you know what I'm saying? And next thing I know, I'm clicking the damn thing. And I kind of left it, I wrote something, a partial address. I didn't write the whole address. I wrote a partial address, available, blah, blah, blah. So when they click that, it might not be in their city, but they already clicked it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, you're getting your hands. Hey, I'm
going to tell you a friend of the show that writes some badass subject lines who can, I don't know how he does it, but he's just a marketing genius. Mark from Boostly knows how to write a preview line to kick ass. So about a month ago, it might have been 2 months ago, a lot of people got pissed at what he did. He wrote a preview line that says, your Airbnb account has been suspended. Everybody in his group were like, That's like a lot of people are like, man, that scared the shit out of me, but it got clicks, and what it does, well, he was just kind of trying to prove like, hey, if that email made your heart drop, then, it can happen to you. But he writes some badass subject lines, but a great way, Chat GPT writes some good preview lines for you. If you tell it, hey, write a preview line for this email in this many characters. And what you want to do is, I use Chat GPT in Slack. I connected to our Slack channel. Shout out to Tiana, past guest. She showed me how to make that integration. But what you do is once you start getting it, because if you Chat GPT has a learning system in it. And once it knows like what you're constantly asking, it can start putting together better answers for you. But if you're not using it through Slack, you can use it just on making separate tabs for different subjects. So what I do is I'll tell it, hey, write an email to these housing coordinators. Boom. After I get that, I'll copy the email and I'll say, write a subject line for this email. Boom. Then I'll say, write a preview line for this subject line. And then it'll give you really detailed information. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. It works great.
Man, that is so cool. And you can see who opened the email. You can see who clicked on the hyperlinks on your email, man. You can see, it's so dope, man.
Now, do you have the MailChimp app on your phone?
I haven't downloaded the app yet. Is it pretty?
That's how you take it to the next level, man. So what happens is after you send a campaign, and I do this with our Live, Let, Thrive listeners, right? After you send a campaign, it'll tell you, hey, today, 60% of your people didn't open this email. So what I'll do is I can go to MailChimp and I can just hold resend campaign and I'll get a higher click rate because it knows when to resend it. Yeah, you got to have the app. Yeah, the app takes it to another level.
I'm going to email the founders of MailChimp right now and get them on our show.
Yeah, you could. Great marketing. That'll be a really good marketing, marketing podcast.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that's big time. I mean, maybe we might not be able to get the founder, but it surprises me. We get a lot of founders, but we might be able to get someone that they send out to do the podcast, but that would be cool.
Sure.
They could tell us some really cool tricks that would blow our freaking minds. I mean, this
for real.
As somebody said, I heard it on some kind of podcast, but he said with all the social media, everybody's saturated that market. Everybody's making their videos and all this stuff. He goes, the most valuable currency is email. And I was like, oh, man. I don't know. He goes, old-fashioned email, you don't even think about it, but it's the most, you got someone's email, you got a direct line straight to them. I was like, damn. And now I know that with this MailChimp or whatever one you're using, you could take it to the next level and you can really maximize these relationships with people. You
really can, man. Email, even text marketing. That's why I like, that's another thing that's not talked about inside of, a lot of people don't use, if you don't use StayFi has a way for them to opt into text and you can do text marketing. That's huge. A lot of people don't know that. Like, that's huge. Like, especially because they opt into it. So they want to receive the text. So that's another thing as well. But yeah, email, I love it. I love email marketing.
So yeah, that's my new toy I'm playing with right now. I'm happy that you're excited about this nerdy out shit too, man.
Hell yeah. You know me. That's all me. I'm the tech guy. I'm a techie. I love doing shit like that.
So, we, built to mid. I had that in my mind while you were talking about exactly how you set up your emails to go out on the 1st and 15th. And then, if you don't get the long bookings, you fill it with the, you open up your calendar or what, I don't know. You to me, I had this, I mean, if you ever wrote a book, you call it Built to Mid, because that's how your company, you set up your company to catch the big fish instead of the small fish. Yeah, for sure. For sure. The midterm rentals. Built to mid. I like it. Built to mid. Get those mailbox money. Yes, sir, man. I love that mailbox money. Yeah, baby. Mailbox money. Yeah, I just got another extension on one of my long-term renters, midterm renters, whatever. Yeah, so I got another extension, so I'm happy about that. Get another paycheck rolling in. Yes, sir, man. Mailbox money. Can't beat it. Real quick, let's touch on this. It's already, we're already into it. But Sean released a video on how to Airbnb houses, how to market houses. It's interesting, because he's not known as the house guy, right? He's known as the 1-bedroom condos all day, 1-bedroom apartments all day. Mm-hmm. But he was mentioned he something cool he mentioned.
Okay.
And I'll probably screw it up, but he said, okay, if you're in a high market, you want to be the last man standing. If you're in a low market, you want to be the first to get rented. And it sounds simple enough, but it made a lot of sense to me. You know what I'm saying? By low market, I mean low season. You want to get that sucker rented out before anybody else does, because everybody's trying to get rented out, right? And so, and one of the things he mentioned was like, slow season's coming. Try to grab a big booking right before slow season begins, a long booking that'll carry you through slow season. But if a high season's coming, you don't want to have a long booking leading you into high season. If you're going to make $500 a night, you don't want to $2,000 a month booking. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It was interesting. Like I said, he's not known as that, but it's interesting video to watch.
Me personally, man, with houses, that's why I like midterms, bro. Midterms are so easy to get with houses. It's just easy, right? And I'm going to also break this down too, because a lot of people, this is just and I'm starting to notice there's different definitions of midterm, right? Because some people will say, oh, I get midterm through Airbnb. I don't really consider that midterm. If somebody books with you for 60 days through Airbnb, I don't consider it midterm. And the reason why I don't consider it midterm, I think you just have a long-term reservation. I don't look at midterm rentals as a length of stay. I look at midterm rentals as a business model where it caters to people that are staying 60 plus days, but you have full control over it. If you're just having somebody book through Airbnb for 60 days, by the way, they don't really have to pay. You got to deal with that crap because Airbnb can send you an email. By the way, they didn't pay. I think it's a B2B model and not a B2C model. That's how I look at midterm rentals. 30 plus days, business to business. So that's why I like midterms, because it's a business to business model. I want to receive a check where I have to give my damn W-9 and they're sending me a big ass check. That's midterm rentals to me. Go ahead.
You don't want your 60-day person to plant some cockroaches and day 10 and
exactly.
Get
that's
lose all your money.
To me. Yeah, that's not midterm rental money to me. That's depending on the platform and prepping to screw yourself. So yeah, man, I love the midterm rental strategy. And I think that's, for houses especially, man. Like I just told you, man, all my houses are booked midterm. Only thing that's not midterm is 1 2-bedroom unit. Even my 2 bedrooms are booked direct midterm. So yeah, man. Call it the magician. Go ahead.
The mid magician. I like that. Yeah. Another thing, all this stuff comes to our mind towards the end of the show. We're like, oh crap, what about this? What about this? Utility caps. Okay, you've heard of utility caps before, right? Mm-hmm. Putting a cap on your utilities. Now, this one lady who's a partner, a sister company of ours who we help put people in her places too when we don't have people. She said, okay, yeah, that sounds like a good price, but I want to put utility caps at 300. I was like, okay, what's that? And she's like, okay, so is this an insurance claim you're talking about? Is that, yeah, it's an insurance company. Okay. So I usually tell insurance claims, the rent is whatever, $3,000 a month, but with the utility cap at 300. And then they're cool with that. I'm like, so they sign off on that? Yeah, they accept that. We can put caps on that shit. Holy shit.
Oh, here goes a better one. I'm not going to say the company's name, but there is an insurance company out there. If you give them a utility cap, what they'll do is they'll be like, look, man, I can't really give them a utility cap, but what I can do is I can go up $150 on the rent. So you get the utility cap in the rent. So instead of them paying, let's just say you're saying, hey, you'll pay me, if you present it to them like this, hey, I'll take $5,000, but anything over $100, the guest is going to have to pay for it on the utilities, especially when summer's coming. So what he'll do is he came back, he's like, what's your utilities running in summer? So at about 300. If they're blowing the air, it's about 300. It can be lower. Goes, well, why don't we just pay you $5,300 a month? So then you kind of work it out like that as well.
Okay.
So yeah, you can definitely shoot utility caps. Every person I talk to asked me, do you have a utility cap? I wasn't doing it at first, but then I started learning. Once I booked like my second house out, I'm like, yeah, I have a utility cap. I didn't know they would pay it out. They're like, oh, and the guy was like, no, I'll just pay it to you in the rent. It's like, cool.
That's cool. Yeah, man. That's hey man, with the utilities out here, especially in summertime in Texas, dude, you get you a $500 bill. There goes all your profits, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So you have to, you have to put something in place. And so that's refreshing to know that you can do utility caps or work it into the rent somehow. That's great.
Yeah, for sure.
And one more thing. Okay. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
You have a Boostly site, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you handle updated and all that stuff?
Updating it,
putting new properties, new pictures, all that shit.
Why your PMP handles it. When you put it on the PMP, it should go to your Boostly site.
Okay. But what do you do when there's errors on the page? You ever had any errors on your Boostly site? Okay, we've been getting. Yeah, be sure to check it often because sometimes the pictures will get squirrely, and then I don't know. It's been getting squirrely. And
y'all paying the maintenance fee?
yeah, we're paying the maintenance fee. The thing is, I'll say it, they don't have the best VAs working and fixing the problem. So, but if you have someone that knows a little bit about websites, whatever, in your company, which we do, they can make it where they can do all the stuff for you, fix it up for you. They'll still, they're still maintaining your site, whatever. But if you really, really want to change things up and you don't want to just send an email and wait a long time and they might not do it correctly.
Y'all got to know what y'all doing. Who's your PMP?
We use Hospitable.
Are they partnered with Boostly?
I believe so. I believe they are. Yes. I don't know. Maybe they don't plug in too good because they were one of the ones that weren't partnered with Boostly at first, and then they came.
And this is what I tell people, dude. This is why understanding the industry is so important. Hospitable is not a PMP. They're working to become one. They might say they are one now. That's not what they were. So with you working with Hospitable, you're going to go through a whole lot of other issues because that's not what they were. You're putting Michael Jordan on a baseball field. It didn't really work out. You got to go through the ups and downs. I'm serious. So they were the great at messaging. They're changing their business model. You know what I'm saying? So you got to make sure, if you're losing Boostly, I would either go guest to your Hostfully.
Okay.
So you got to know who to partner with on what you're trying to do. And this is one thing. Business goals are very important, knowing what your business is and understanding what you're using and how you're using it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, if you're using Hospitable as your PMP, you got to go with the growing pains of Hospitable. That's not what they were. They're transitioning into that.
Okay, cool. So you don't use Hospitable at all, do you?
I use it for certain marketing, like certain messages going out, like my timeshare messaging. I use it for that. But like Hospitable, I use it for their strengths, sending messages.
Okay, cool.
They're hopping into a space that they weren't in, and they're just gonna have to go with the growing pains of that.
Makes a lot of sense, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah. So we talked about a lot of shit today, man.
Yeah.
We talked about a lot of stuff. So we're gonna wrap it up now. Appreciate this is 250 episode 250. We appreciate y'all for sticking with us for this long, for just hearing me and Myka converse and talk these things out, learn things from each other, learn things from you that always chiming in too, and we made some great connections along the way. Let's go for 500. What do you think?
Hell yeah, going for 1,000, 2,000. We're gonna be up there with bigger pockets. But yeah,
big old
y'all
gray beard. Yeah.
For continuing to listen to us. Thank y'all for sticking through us with this journey, man. Episode 250. I swear, when we were in Steve's front part of his house with pantyhose on the mics, we never thought we would have been here. But yeah, he's got the official one now.
Official one, yeah. The official real deal.
But yeah, thank y'all for continuing to listen, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Join the Facebook group and remember to hit that subscribe button below and leave us a review, man. Thank y'all for continuing to listen. And we are out.
Peace.
Later.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.